So in the previous session we have discussed about the variables, isn't it? The variables and objects, collections, single value objects and multi-valued objects. In these objects again we have single value objects and multi-valued objects. So this multi-value objects we are calling it as what? Calling them as what? Collections, isn't it? The multi-valued objects we are calling them as collections. So how to create a collection that we have seen. Today I will try to show you how to access the elements these collections and how do we declare the various types of collections. So all this concept we shall try to discuss in this session. Okay. We can open an interactive application. So that is a Scala in interactive mode. We can open it. This is called as a batch program actually. Writing the entire program once, compiling it and running it. That would be called as a batch program. But we can also launch an interactive Scala environment. So just if you place your cursor there, you'll get all these options here. Okay, just go to terminal here, click on the terminal and just extend this and type here simply Scala. Just simply type Scala here. So we are going to see the Scala interactive application here. Welcome to Scala 2.11 and this is Scala interactive mode. Okay, fine. Now here let me try to create the collections here. We shall try to understand what is done actually in this session, mainly the immutable object versus mutable object. In the last session we have discussed about mutable reference versus immutable reference. So in this session we shall try to understand what is immutable object versus immutable object. Okay, let's try to understand that. So before that, let me make some points clear about this what you call as objects, that is collections. Well, a1 colon array of int equal to array of 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Okay, this is going to create an array object. What is this statement is going to create? This is going to create an array object, and in that it is going to store integer values, integer objects. 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, 7 integer objects are going to be wrapped as, are going to be, we call it as wrap. I'm using the word is called as wrap. Wrapping of array, wrapping of integer objects as an array object. 7 integer objects as a single object, that as an array. Okay, this is called as array now here. Now, and what is this here? Array of int. I'm saying that this statement array of 2 3 4 5 7 8 is going to create an object. This is creating an object. Then what is this now? What is a1? Is it a variable or is it an object? What is it? Yeah, it is a reference or it is a variable. Okay, now val, what type of reference it is? Whatever, is it mutable or immutable? So val, the keyword val is going to create what type of reference, mutable or immutable? A1 is created as an immutable reference to what object? To array object that is created in memory, which is holding internally again 7 integer objects. That's fine. And what is this is? This is the class. This is the class to which the object created here belongs to. Let me repeat the statement. This is the class. This is the class to which the object created with this statement belongs to. So when we say an object must belong to a class, isn't it? An object is a reference, is an instance of a class. So here object is getting created. To which class, from which class we are derived, that object is getting created. What is the class? This is the class. Okay, array of int. Remember that. I will say like this: val. If I say some val p colon int equal to some 40. So what's happening with this? This 40 is going to be created as this statement. This is going to create an integer object in memory, and 40 will be held by that object. And to which class that object belongs to? That belongs to the class int. Remember. So array of int. These are the what we call as classes, predefined classes. So p is a reference, is an immutable reference, and integer is the class to which this integer object belongs to. Clear? So val some q colon string equal to some Scala programming. So this is going to create this statement. This one is going to create a string object. To which class it belongs to? This is the class string. That's purely optional. I can simply val some yes equal to, I can simply write spark something like this. So this is specifying colon string, that is specifying the a class to which the object getting created belongs to. The specification of this is purely optional. We can use it or we can simply omit it. Okay, but it is a good practice to specify the class to which this variable belongs to. Now let us see how we are able to access the data of this array. Okay, just let me clear this screen. A1, this is the data of A1. Now I would like to access the last element in this array. So how do I know the number of elements in this array object now? That is simply by A1 dot size. This is going to give the number of elements, the number of integer elements or objects that are there in this array. So total is 7 elements. Dot size, A1 dot size. Okay, and how to access element, a particular element, from this array. I want to access the let us say the last element from this. I want to get the last element from this. How shall I access it? Okay, so every element in this array will be accessed by its index. So the index of the first element will be 0, index of second element will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, let me show you that. A1 of 0, so it is going to get the first element A1 of 0. So the index of the first element, first position element is 0, and A1 of 5, if I say 5, what is going, output is going to give us 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 7 has to be the output here. Size is a function which gives the number of elements that are holding by that array object. Next, I will proceed with a list of some 23, 34, 45, 56, 67. Let me take some one more element, 78. Now, so similarly, like array, how shall we know the number of elements in this array? Very simple, L1 dot size. So I would like to access the data from a particular position, the particular element. So even the index of a list also starts with 0, 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Total 6 elements are there. So the index is going to start with 0 and it is going to end with 5. So I can access L1 of some 4. It is going to get the element at the 5th position, that is 67. Got it? Fine. Let me show you one more collection here, that is called as a map. Now I'm trying to show you the collections that are used most frequently in our programming. Val, or I can use var also. M1 equal to map of. This is very important, very important, this map collection. Array and map will be used in most of the times in most of the Spark programming. Okay, so we have to understand clearly about array and map, very clearly. Every element in this map is going to be a pair. Before that, let me just get a list. This is a list. Now I write where M1 equal to map of the first element. Write the first element. So let us say city or name. This is the first element. Okay, second element, version 2.11, comma, third element, and the third element, type of language, it is oops plus functional programming. The Scala is hybrid language. Okay, it has features of, it has been inherited from what we call as Java and Lisp language. Okay, this is another way. There is another way of what. So before just be going to the another way of creating map, how shall I access the elements of the map here? Okay, remember here. So how many elements this map has now? Let me check whether we have size for this map. I'm not sure. Yes, we have a size. So M1 dot size, to know the number of elements. How many elements we have here? This is the first element, this is the second element, and this is the third element. Okay, so in list we'll have the elements like this, something like this. But map is going to have an element as an ordered, as a pair. Okay, what's a pair? Nothing but combination of two fields or two values. Okay, so the first element, the first field is string and second field also string. Here also the first field is string, second field is string. They must be same. The field types must be same. So total we have 3 elements. How shall I access the first element? How do I access the first element? Can I use something like this? M1 of 0, M1 of name. So we do not access these elements directly. Instead what we do is, so in these two elements, the first element will be considered as the key and second element will be considered as the value. Remember, let me just clean this and let me write again. Now M1 of the first element key, that is the name, we get Scala. Similarly M1 of version, what do we get? 2.11. And M1 of the last key type. So for a map collection, the input we have supply is a key of an element, so it is going to give the value of it. And if you supply the value, do we get the key? Let's try. Let us make it try. I supply Scala here. No, we won't get. Now you can say here, key not found. Such key is not found. That vice versa is not going to be true. Remember. So only we have to supply keys, not the values. If we supply the keys, we are going to get the values here. Clear, guys? Is it clear about this one? Fine. And we have one more convention of creating this map. Let me use that. So instead of this comma here, I can use this arrow mark. I can use this arrow mark. Even that can be done. Okay. So comma instead of comma, I can use arrow mark. Even this is going to work. This is another convention of creating map collection. This is going to work. Both are same. Both conventions are same. Either you can use that convention, you can use comma between key and value, or you can use that arrow mark, okay, directional operator between the key and the value. Clear? And how do we access the elements of the map? We access the values by supplying the keys. Got it, guys? So I'm going to show next about the tuple. Val T1 34 45 56 78. So what is this T1 called as here? So what is this is going to be created here? Suppose if I use some A4 equal to array, what is going to be created? This is array update is going to create array, isn't it? So what is this is going to create? This is called as a tuple. Some people call it tuple also, Tuple. This I pronounce it as tuple. Okay, it's your wish to call it as a tuple or tuple. That's up to you. Now I can use one more convention. Instead of this, I can also pass it as tuple 4. Even this can be used. How do I know the number of elements? See that. Is it possible to get the size of it? No, it is not going to get the size of it. Why? Because this tuple is not a collection basically. Tuple is not a collection, remember. It is not a collection. Even though it seems to be a collection, it is not a collection. Remember that point. Then what else it is? It is simply combination of elements. I'm telling you, there is a difference between collection and combination. Collection and combination, there's a difference between these two. Tuple is going to combine the elements, combine the data, but collection is going to bring all the set of elements. That is, we can perform iterative operations on collections, but we cannot perform iterative operations on the tuples. Now here I would like to access the data of this T1. How shall I access the first element of this tuple, second element of this tuple, third element of this tuple? What shall I use? In case of array, what did we use there? Yeah, index, there we have used index, right? So in this index A4, I use A4 of 3. It is going to give the last element, fourth position element, isn't it? Similarly, T1 of 4 is not going to work here. Remember, is not going to work. Instead, we have to use like this. How is T1 and dot underscore is say 1 2 3 4 5 6. Their type is optional. We can ignore, depending upon the data that we are passing, automatically the type will be inferred. I told you this is optional. This is optional, but it is better to have it. Now, how shall I access the first element or second element, third element in this tuple? The first position or second position element. This is very simple, t1 dot underscore. This tuple is we use in Spark programming very frequently. Remember, t1 dot underscore 4. So it is going to get the element at the fourth position. That is, this is first position A, second, third, and fourth. Okay. Similarly, underscore 1, it is going to get the first position element. Similarly, the 1 2 3 4 5 6, it is going to get 6 because the last position element 100. So how do we access the elements of a tuple? That is by using dot underscore the position of the element. Is it clear, guys? So accessing the elements of array, list, tuple, and map, these are most frequently used collections. And tuple is not a collection, but map, array, and these are going to be mostly used collections, and this is a combination that is mostly used in the Spark program. That's why I'm stressing more on this.